Good morning, and welcome to the ERIM Awards 2022, our third live stream of our annual awards ceremony. I'm Pursey Heugens, and you may already know me as the Scientific Director of ERIM and RSM Dean of Research. And I'll be your co-host today, along with Kirsten.
Hello everyone, I'm Kirsten Rohde. In April this year, I succeeded Enrico Pennings as Associate Director of ERIM, and in September this year, I also succeeded him as Vice Dean Research at ESE. I'm glad that with the implementation of ERIM 2.0 in January of this year, ERIM has made a next step to harmonized high-quality research support services across its founding schools, ESE and RSM. In light of this harmonization, Pursey and I are very honored to be co-hosting this year's ceremony and celebrate the success of our ERIM community. For those new to the ERIM Awards, during this ceremony we will be recognizing the outstanding achievements of our researchers.
Much like last year, we will be presenting awards for 5 categories this year. Amongst these, we are proud to announce a new category, the Best Dissertation from the Part-Time PhD program. Another significant aspect of ERIM 2.0 was the transfer of the Part-Time PhD program in Business and Management under ERIM as its graduate school. We very much look forward to honoring the achievements of our part-time PhD students. Alongside this category, there will be awards for Best Dissertation Full-Time PhD, Top Article, Outstanding Performance by a Young Researcher, and Open Science.
Before we proceed with the awards, I would like to mention the ERIM office. Throughout the year, the ERIM team facilitates ERIM's mission of research excellence. While they mostly operate behind the scenes, they provide excellent support for our entire ERIM community. Let's thank them all for their terrific work. Now let's move on to the awards. Before we start celebrating, there is some inconvenient news I have to share with you. Unfortunately, there are no female or non-binary winners this year. While there were many talented nominees, all jury selections were separate, and we trust that they were handled objectively. ERIM is really dedicated to creating an inclusive and equitable space that empowers all to participate fully. Therefore, I would really like to strongly encourage more diverse nominations next year.
Thank you, Kirsten, for highlighting this very important factor, and I couldn't agree more. So, now that we have this digital ceremony this year, we have invited the winners of the 2022 ERIM Awards to present themselves via video. We will now proceed with announcing the winners with a few comments regarding how they came to be selected, and then ask the winners to introduce themselves via video and talk about what they have achieved with their research. So let's begin. Kirsten, will you do the honors?
Sure. We will start with the award for the ERIM Best Full-Time PhD Dissertation. The jury selected a dissertation for this award that investigates a topic at the frontiers of our understanding, in particular of the core processes underlying cheating behavior. Cheating behaviors are widespread and have serious implications, but we do not fully understand why some people display them while others do not, or actually what circumstances drive people to use cheating or not. And nobody's a cheater all the time. The dissertation has already produced several high-level publications. Specifically, these have appeared in the field of neuroscience in journals such as Trends in Cognitive Science, Neuroimage, Journal of Neuroscience, and Proceedings of the National Academy of Science. This demonstrates that reviewers in the field clearly recognize the strength of these papers. Moreover, there's evidence that the work is already impactful. The jury noted that there's an emerging collection of citations to this body of work already. For the ERIM Best Full-Time PhD Dissertation Award 2022, the jury selected the dissertation The Dishonest and Unfair Brain, Investigating the Neural Underpinnings of Moral Decisions by Sebastiaan Speer. Furthering the point that the work is impactful, Sebastiaan has found a position at the leading Institute of Neuroscience, Princeton University. This is a strong recognition of his qualities as a researcher. Congratulations to Sebastiaan. Let's hear from him now.
Hi, I'm Sebastian Speer and I'm currently a postdoctoral researcher at the Princeton Neuroscience Institute. We study how two brains predict each other during real-time conversations. Last year I completed my PhD at ERIM, where I focused on studying the neural mechanisms underlying moral decisions. And I'm very excited and very honored to receive this wonderful award today. My dissertation focused on the neural mechanisms underlying moral decisions. But why did I choose to study this topic? Well, every day we are faced with a conflict between the temptation to cheat for selfish gains and maintaining a positive self-image of ourselves as being a good person. Do we decide to cheat on an exam, or do we risk failing? It is quite obvious that not everyone solves these conflicts in the same way. The aim of my dissertation was to combine neuroimaging methods with behavioral experiments to investigate the neurocognitive underpinnings of individual differences in moral decision-making. Specifically, we used fMRI in EEG to investigate what happens in people's brains when they are tempted to cheat. So across several studies, we find that people are indeed distributed along a continuum, from individuals who are generally honest and focus on their moral self-image when making decisions, all the way to individuals who cheat a lot and are driven more strongly by rewards. To maintain a justifiable balance between the two, cheaters must exert willpower to override their greedy tendencies to be honest, while honest people need to inhibit their honesty to occasionally profit from small lies. This is reflected in the brain, where we find that cognitive control areas are more strongly activated for cheaters when they are honest, whereas the same regions are more strongly activated when honest people cheat. So our results suggest that the effect of cognitive control in moral decisions depends on our moral default. This dissertation is the product of a long journey in which I've greatly benefited from many wonderful and inspiring people. First of all, I would like to thank my supervisors, Al and Martin, for giving me the opportunity to work at this highly interdisciplinary and stimulating marketing department at RSM. I appreciate their direct and forthright guidance, which I think is quite reminiscent of Dutch mentality in general. And I think this resulted in a highly efficient and productive collaboration. Another valuable source of motivation and inspiration were the colleagues that I shared part of this PhD journey with. It is impossible to imagine going through this journey without the comfort of friends. So I'd like to thank them also for sticking around for all this time. Lastly, I would like to thank my family for always being there and making this dissertation possible.
In all, we conclude that Sebastiaan is a very worthy recipient of the 2022 ERIM Best Full-Time PhD Dissertation Award. Well done, Sebastiaan. Let's move on to the next award. Pursey.
Thank you, Kirsten. Next, we have the newly introduced ERIM Best Part-Time PhD Dissertation Award. For this award, the jury noted that it was a very difficult decision, as all dissertations were very strong. We expect no less from our community. The dissertation that was ultimately selected was described as a strong thesis with strong publications. It deals with important problems that mankind is facing today. Indeed, the topic of sustainable development goals and how to reach them is one of utmost significance. The sustainable development goals are not easy to reach. Many actors will need to collaborate in order to reach those. The dissertation in question makes use of a variety of methods to assess important aspects in relation to how companies and society is trying to reach the SDGs. Almost all chapters have been published in reputable journals, which the jury notes is quite an achievement. Furthermore, the dissertation reaches an important conclusion. The world is not on track to achieve the 17 SDGs by 2030. A dominant emphasis on economic development threatens the achievement of social and especially environmental SDGs, and if you want to read it for yourself, it's on page 111. It then goes on to offer pathways in achieving alignment between companies' activities and SDGs, and which make for an important route to sustainable human well-being. This is an important dissertation in which the author is not afraid to tackle and offer solutions for the many problems humankind is facing today. Let's not beat around the bush any longer. The winner of the ERIM Best Part-Time PhD Dissertation 2022 is the dissertation Business in the Age of Sustainable Development by Jan Anton van Zanden. Congratulations, Jan Anton. Fitting to his PhD work, Jan Anton now works as an SDG strategist at Robeco, and let's hear from him personally.
So my name is Jan Anton van Zanden and I work at Robeco, an international asset management company headquartered here in Rotterdam. So at Robeco we invest in companies and governments around the world, and it's my job to do research and to develop frameworks that allow us to invest in line with the ambitions of the Sustainable Development Goals. So my research addresses the role of companies in attaining the Sustainable Development Goals. So back in 2015, when the United Nations adopted these 17 goals with 169 underlying targets, they called upon the private sector to help achieve these goals. Everybody realized that without companies, it's going to be very hard to achieve these ambitious goals that aim to provide a better world for everyone. So in my dissertation, I have 5 different papers that tackle 3 different research questions. So first of all, I wanted to know why companies are more likely to engage with one of the SDGs rather than with another. Then secondly, I wanted to know how companies undertaking different types of economic activities have different types of impacts on different SDGs. So I wanted to know how do companies have an impact. And then thirdly, I wanted to investigate what can companies do to improve their impacts over time and thereby help to attain these SDGs. So thank you so much for presenting me with this award. That's a great honor. So of course, writing a dissertation is something you have to do by yourself. But I actually benefited from the help from a lot of people. Too many to thank right here, but I'd just like to point out I'm very grateful to my professor, Rob van Tulder, my co-promoter, Frank Weijer, for supporting me in this endeavor. I'd like to thank my colleagues. I'd like to thank my friends, my family, and of course I'd like to thank Anouk, my girlfriend, who has been supporting me throughout this journey. Thanks so much.
Very admirable work, Jan Anton. It is time for our next award. Back to you, Kirsten.
Up next, we have the ERIM Top Article Award 2022. The jury noted that they were given a very difficult task with a selection of impressive articles published in leading journals, each of which has begun to gather citations already. This is clear evidence of the strength of research taking place at ERIM. It's also great to find that these articles came from a variety of departments and research areas. Despite the difficulties in decision-making, the jury arrived at an article that poses a very important question and brings forward a strong empirical evidence and research methods to answer the question. The purpose of the article, published in Management Science, is to understand whether inventive activity, which lies at the heart of product innovation in many industries, is driven by human capital of individual inventors, or rather by the capabilities of the firm. The article cleverly uses the property of some, but not all inventors moving between firms in a large sample of firms. The authors then assess that human capital is 5 to 10 times more important than firm capabilities. This produces 3 contributions. First, the role of individual human capital must be studied even more than before. Second, the article explains how innovative workers select into certain employers. And third, we must see inventor human capital and firm-level innovative capacity as strategic substitutes. By contrast, inventor and co-worker human capital are strategic complements. The jury believes these to be interesting and important insights that will inform a variety of academic debates, as well as potentially affecting decision makers. Well, without further ado, the winning article is Are Inventors of Firms the Engines of Innovation? By Ajay Bhaskarabatla, Luis Cabral, Deepak Egde, and Thomas Peters. Congratulations to Ajay and Thomas and their co-authors for their work and on winning this award. Let's hear from Ajay and Thomas now.
My name is Ajay Bhaskar Bhatla. I'm an associate professor at the strategy group in applied economics. And my research interests are innovation, competitive strategy, and industrial organization.
I'm Thomas Peters. I'm also an associate professor, also in the strategy group of applied economics department. My main research interest is strategy, and I focus a lot on the professional sports industry. As a sidestep, I also investigate innovation, and this paper is an example of that. So in this article, what we investigate is how successful innovations come about. And we ask particularly, is it the firm's input into producing innovation, or is it the input of inventors that's very important? And what we find is that both contributions are important, but in fact, the contribution of the individual inventors is more important than that of the firm.
Then we ask, where do inventors want to move? And we find that inventors surprisingly want to move to not firms that are very innovative, but for firms that have other bright inventors.
This result is kind of counterintuitive for many economists, because we would think that the best workers line up with the best firms because that's where they can get paid more. So what this seems to suggest, and that's what we also highlight in the theory model, is that these inventors care about more than just their payroll, and that they actually have other preferences besides just getting paid a lot.
We want to thank our co-authors on this paper, Deepak Hegde and Luis Cabral, both at NYU.
Well, they both challenged us a lot in developing this idea, because it originated from a seminar where Ajay saw me present something, and then we decided to use this technique in this inventor labor market. But what they did was, first they challenged us lots to develop this idea, and then Luis was also seminal to having this contribution in the theory part. I think we also need to thank our colleagues at the Department of Applied Economics, because they create this atmosphere of collaboration where I think this project took a lot of advantage from.
A worthy article to win the top article award this year.
Now we have the ERIM Award for Outstanding Performance by a Young Researcher. We are pleased to announce that we have not one, but 2 winners this year, a testament to the promise of our research community. Once more, the jury noted that the quality of the nominees was very high, which is fantastic news. Given the nature of the award, stimulating young researchers and helping them further in building their academic career, the jury concluded that the 2 winners have very comparable, yet exceptional vidas, especially given the short period that has passed after they have graduated. Therefore, the jury highly recommended handing out the award to 2 winners this year. Thus, the winners for the ERIM Award for Outstanding Performance by a Young Researcher, in no particular order, are Samir Mehta and Jijun Lee from RSM and ESE respectively. Congratulations to you both. Let's hear from one of the winners first, Samir.
Hi, I'm Samir Mehta. I'm an assistant professor here in the Business Information Management section at the Technology and Operations Department at RSM. In addition, I am also a research fellow at the Open Data Institute in the UK. Before joining RSM, I was an assistant professor in the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign in the US. And I did my PhD in management science from the University of Texas at Dallas. My research interests lie broadly in the analysis and design of technology and data markets. Common across my research projects is the use of tools and techniques from operations research and the economics of information systems to develop sound mathematical models that offer 2 things. One is analytically supported clarity, and 2 is implementable real-world solutions to business problems. In one of the projects, I have been looking at the reward distribution mechanisms in data cooperatives. Data cooperatives are an organizational form where individuals like you and me can come together, pool our data, and reap benefits from it. Now, what I find in my research is two things. One is that the way the cooperatives distribute the rewards among the members is central to the long-term sustenance of these cooperatives. And two, present-day cooperatives do not employ such reward distribution mechanisms. In particular, they fail to take into account the privacy preferences of the users. As a solution, I develop fair and sustainable revenue allocation mechanisms that do take into account the privacy preferences of the users. More recently, I have been focusing on the strategic role that data plays in developing artificial intelligence services. The goal here is to understand how ethical AI services can be commercialized by taking into account the privacy concerns and preferences of the end users. I would like to thank ERIM and RSM for recognizing and supporting my research. I would also like to thank my section and department for allowing me to develop and teach courses that are centered around my research interests. Finally, I would like to thank my co-authors, my colleagues at RSM, and even students at RSM for encouraging and being helpful for conducting my research.
Now we have a second winner, of course, this year, Jijun Lee. So let's hear it from Jijun directly.
My name is Yijun Li. I'm an assistant professor at the Accounting, Auditing, and Control section of the Business Economic Department at ESE. Today, I feel very honored to receive this year's ERIM Awards for Young Scholars. I have a broad research interest in taxation and financial accounting. A part of my research is studying how companies disclose their tax information and tax-paying behaviors of companies. An example of my research is studying how US multinational firms react to the implementation of the OECD's standards on the exchange of tax information on request. A theme of my research is studying how executives' professional experiences shapes firm policies. For example, in one study, we investigate why firms include executives with tax experiences on their senior management team, and we examine the extent to which such tax experiences affect firms' tax outcomes. In another example of my research, we identify executives who have experienced significant accounting-related adverse events, and we examine the extent to which such adverse events affect their subsequent financial reporting policies. I would like to take this opportunity to thank my section and department head persons who not only nominated me for this award, but also gave me the opportunity to work at this very fine research institute. I'm also very grateful for having the very supportive colleagues at the Erasmus Accounting Research Group who have given me tremendous support in adjusting to European life, also continue to support me in developing my academic and professional skills. Last but not least, I want to acknowledge the excellent research support from ERIM. Their research support programs are crucial for young scholars' early careers.
Samir and Yijun, terrifically done. It really bodes very well for the future of our research community that we have such talented young members. So, on to our final award for the year.
For the ERIM Open Science Award, the jury stated that they were honored to be invited to contribute to the third edition of the ERIM Open Science Awards. In a rapidly evolving research environment, ERIM facilitates the implementation of open science practices by organizing awareness and educational campaigns, supporting its members in their daily activities, and rewarding virtuous behavior, thereby highlighting the importance of reproducibility, transparency, openness, and collegiality in research. In the context of an increasing focus on open and transparent research across institutions in the Netherlands and worldwide, ERIM leads by example. The jury stated that this year's nominations showcased the increased attention to open and transparent scholarship at the Erasmus School of Economics. The nominees have established workflows that naturally embed open science practices, including open data, disseminated through personal websites and institutional repositories, and open code with widely used open source packages that facilitate the adoption of robust statistics among peers. In addition, they support and encourage open research among students and collaborators. And last but not least, they are involved in institutional efforts to promote open science both at their school and at Erasmus University. All of these contributions and the required time investment demonstrate true commitment to open science and the determination of the applicants in making science better for everyone. Therefore, we would like to congratulate all nominees on their contributions. Now it is our distinct pleasure to award the third ERIM Open Science Award to Andreas Alfons. Over the years, Andreas has developed open source software packages that promote the use of robust statistical methods, an important way to increase the validity and reliability of empirical results. The availability of extensive documentation on the software packages reflects Andreas' exhaustive time investment. Not surprisingly, hundreds of peers make use of this user-friendly software in their research, attesting to the academic impact of his work. Not only does Andreas embrace open science principles and practices in his domain of research, but he also actively promotes them amongst his peers, as demonstrated by blog posts and frequent contributions to institutional awareness campaigns. More importantly, it's truly inspiring to see how Andreas stimulates his students and colleagues to actively contribute to conversations around open and responsible scholarship. For instance, by supporting their involvement in the open science community Rotterdam, as well as practicing open science through their academic work. Last but not least, as a member of the ESE Open Science Task Force, he contributes to school-wide conversations on how to actively support, incentivize, and reward researchers who make their work transparent and accountable. It's with these exemplary contributions that the committee awards the ERIM Open Science 2022 Award to Andreas Alfons. Congratulations, Andreas.
My name is Andreas Alfons. I'm an associate professor for statistics at the Econometric Institute. I'm originally from Austria. I did my studies and my PhD there. I spent a few years in Leuven, and then I came here, and I'm here for about 10 years now in Rotterdam. Besides work, I like bikes a lot. That's all I think about pretty much. And I like to ride them, I like to work on them. It's what helps me keep a good balance with all the thinking that I do at work, and I like cats. My research develops around developing statistical and machine learning methods, and central to my research is the question, how can I break statistical methods? For me, it's interesting to know when a method fails and gives random, irreproducible results, and I like to use this knowledge to develop a more robust methodology that works reliably in a broader array of settings. I develop open source software for the methods I develop. This is really a central part of my work. Robust methods and open science are really two sides of the same coin for me. They both aim to increase the reliability of empirical research findings in science. So open source software is really a big part of my thinking. I'm like half a computer scientist per training, or maybe like 40% of a computer scientist. For me, it's quite natural to include open science practices into my work. Like I said, I develop open source software, but I also make replications files for my own papers available and encourage people I work with to do so as well. So from the very beginning, when I start developing the methods, I also envision of what the software should look like, focusing mostly on what it will be for the user to use the software. How can I make it user-friendly? What inputs do they need? What outputs do they need to get out of it? And more importantly, what names should I give all of these things such that people can remember stuff? I'd like to thank, most importantly, the people who nominated me for this award. I don't know who they are, but thanks a lot. I appreciate it very much. And I would also like to thank ERIM and ESC for their commitment to open science in general, and also for acknowledging that software is an important part of methodological research and that it's valued output that is important for societal impact of methodological research.
An excellent example of dedication to the principles of open science. The jury further commented on the future of the ERIM Open Science Award, stating that this year's winner of the ERIM Open Science Award understands the value of open and transparent research, not only in his academic field, but also as an important aspect of high-quality mentorship and education. By awarding this Open Science Award, ERIM highlights how responsible open research can be a catalyst to ensure long-term institutional cultural change. The whole academic community must embrace open and responsible science values and practices. Therefore, the jury encourages researchers from all career stages and underrepresented backgrounds to apply or nominate colleagues for this award in the following years. Fair and wide representation ensures that all facets of open science are given appropriate consideration, incentivized at the individual and institutional level, and rewarded accordingly.
That's a great and important note on inclusivity to end on, Kirsten. We would like to say congratulations once again to all our winners of this year. And thank you all who have viewed and for tuning in. And we look forward to seeing you again next year.
Have a nice day, everybody. Good luck during this busy season, and we wish you all wonderful holidays in a few weeks.